Доброго дня.
Good afternoon, dear colleagues. We continue our working day and we'll talk to Michael Bociurkiw, OSCE Special Monitoring Mission in Ukraine spokesman, about the update on OSCE SMM activity and the security situation in Ukraine. Good afternoon, dear colleagues. I'm glad to see you, and I hope that you are glad to see me as well.
Off by saying a few remarks about the current situation as the SMM sees it. The Special Monitoring Mission to Ukraine continues to monitor the implementation of the package of measures for the implementation of the Minsk agreements. Over the past week, however, some monitoring has been restricted by third parties and by security considerations. Over the past 24 hours, the Special Monitoring Mission had observed an increase in the number of ceasefire violations in the Donetsk region, especially around Donetsk airport. And of course, we're also monitoring the situation in the area of Shirokine, where our monitors have observed sporadic mortar and small arms and light weapons exchanges. I'd like to tell you that today, as we speak, the Deputy Chief Monitor, Alexander Hug, is today heading to Shirokine. This morning they were to leave from nearby Mariupol and head over there. And the purpose of the visit is to encourage parties to further disengage in Shirokine and to work towards normalization and demilitarization in the village and surrounding areas. Deputy Chief Monitor Hug and a team of experts and monitors from our mission here in Kyiv and from our patrol hub in Mariupol will also look at the humanitarian dimension of this hotspot. And also, a further assessment will be undertaken to determine future steps needed for demining and the cleaning of unexploded ordnance. And generally speaking, in the Luhansk region, the Special Monitoring Mission did not observe any ceasefire violations. I should also just announce later today at approximately 18:30 in Mariupol at the Raykarts Hotel, Deputy Chief Monitor Hug has scheduled a media briefing to update everyone about what they saw today and what they did out there in Shirokine. In terms of the humanitarian situation, I know I've spoken a lot about this in the past couple of weeks, so I won't dwell too much on it, other than to remind everyone that in certain parts of eastern Ukraine, there is a humanitarian crisis or catastrophe unfolding. And according to our friends, our partners at United Nations, more than 6,000 people have already been killed in this conflict, and well over 1 million have been displaced since the outbreak of the conflict. Our monitors continue to report on deteriorating conditions in a variety of institutions, including hospitals, orphanages, homes for the elderly. And of course, this is having the most severe impact on the most vulnerable groups, the elderly, those with physical challenges, and of course, children. We've reported on deteriorating situation in many parts of Luhansk and Donetsk oblasts. Many villages, especially those on or near the contact line, like Spartak, like Trochizbenka, lack running water and power. Many hospitals and clinics are heavily damaged and lack essential drugs and supplies. And there are untold numbers of children who are shell-shocked and have nowhere to play or learn. And as many of you know, access to pensions and other forms of social support has been severely restricted. On the ceasefire, generally speaking, the ceasefire is holding, although as I mentioned, there are certain hotspots where we continue to document a range of armed fire, in other words, from small arms fire to rockets. And hence the situation for local population in many places remains precarious. Hence, both our chief monitor and our deputy chief monitor continue to remind all sides of the need to exercise maximum restraint and to fully assume their responsibility to prevent further displacement and suffering, and to redouble their efforts to reach a political settlement. In terms of the situation for us, in terms of access and freedom of movement, we do, once again, remind all sides that the special monitoring mission, in order to fulfill the tasks put to it, we require unrestricted and secure access. On the withdrawal of heavy weaponry, the Special Monitoring Mission is monitoring the movement of heavy weapons from the contact line to their respective withdrawal lines. The Special Monitoring Mission now sees mutual actions towards compliance with the Minsk agreements. Although the Special Monitoring Mission follows and monitors the withdrawal of heavy weapons, the mission is not yet, we are not yet in a position to provide the certificates of verification of withdrawal. And as most of you would know by now, the Special Monitoring Mission, to confirm that weapons withdrawal has indeed taken place, it needs to have all of the baseline information, for example, where the weapons are based at the moment, which routes will be used to withdraw them, and the sites to where the heavy weapons will be concentrated and or stored. I also wanted to take this opportunity to bring you up to date on the mission strength at the moment. A second. Here we go. At the moment, we have a total of 414 monitors from around 40 countries, and the total mission strength, this includes the monitors, international experts, and management, and national staff. We have 690 is our total mission strength. And we also have just today published the most updated infographic on our numbers and recent news from the mission, and you can find hard copies out there, and also you'll find the graphic on our website shortly. Just a couple of items from our most recent daily report. I talked about the humanitarian situation and also about the situation of unexploded ordnance and mines. And I can tell you that on the 7th of April, the Special Monitoring Mission visited Katerynivka. This is 62 kilometers west of Luhansk, government-controlled area. There, our colleagues spoke to several residents, men, women, and children. And what they've been telling us is what we hear in many points around the conflict zone, is that they've been having problems with movement, in other words, crossing the contact line or near the contact line because of checkpoints. They told us that, for example, there's no public transport servicing the area, and thus pensioners cannot travel to collect their allowances. And also children, this is critical, children cannot attend school, and there is no access to health care and food supplies. The unfortunate thing here is then what happens when villagers can't go through routes that they know, they take alternative routes, and this can be very dangerous because of the possible presence of landmines or unexploded ordnance. In fact, they told us that, we ourselves observed wreckage of a civilian car near Katerynivka, and according to the local citizens, the car had hit a mine while it attempted to go off the paved road, and an adult and a child were inside, and both survived, although the adult was injured. We've also been told that those who are in spring is now coming, as you can see by the weather, and this heavily based agricultural economy, many people are now starting to tend to their fields for the first time in months, and we are starting to get reports of people either being afraid to go to their fields to till the fields and get it ready for planting, and or they actually have seen landmines go off. So this is quite a worrisome phenomenon, of course. With the Ukrainian Easter upon us, I wanted to read a brief statement from Ambassador Apakan in terms of his call for peace throughout the Easter season. I'll just read it in Ukrainian. Голова спецмісії в Україні.
The head of the special mission in Ukraine, Mr. Ambassador Tugul Apakan, wishes people across Ukraine a safe, peaceful, and joyous Easter holiday season and urges all sides to ensure a lasting ceasefire. He is especially concerned with those whose lives have been affected by the ongoing conflict, especially those who have lost loved ones or been uprooted from their homes. Mr. Apakan calls upon all the sides to mark these holidays with the augmenting their efforts in order to reach stable and continuous ceasefire that would last into the future. Apakan also called on all to work together to enable families to come together throughout the Easter season and to enjoy some respite from the violence. He said, I count on all sides to support this initiative for peace.
That is about it for today. If there are any questions, please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Michael. I'll just go with the first question and I'll give you the next one. Is there any ground to expect further escalation of conflicts? Because lately it has been calming down a bit, and because there are holidays coming, do you think there is reason to expect any escalation?
Well, Ambassador Apakan many times expresses his hope for peace, for guns to be silenced. He very strongly supports President Poroshenko's peace plan. And secondly, many times he's mentioned that the Minsk packages are the most effective roadmap for the sides to reach settlement, long-lasting, sustainable ceasefire. We don't speculate as a mission what happens in the days or weeks ahead. However, one of the main purposes, as I said, for Deputy Chief Monitor's Hug visit now to Shirokone, it's a real hotspot, is to work towards further de-escalation. I know already earlier this morning, he was in talks with the sides to talk about not only access to Shirokone, but achieving that effective, sustainable ceasefire.
Okay, thank you. Next question.
Associated Press. As I understood, you can to prove that all heavy weaponry was pulled back, but can you say that it is not in usage from both sides anymore? Thank you.
I would, for that one, refer you to our latest daily report, which went online. And there, for example, we said that the Special Monitoring Mission had visited five Ukrainian armed forces holding areas for heavy weapons. And at all of the 5 locations, the Special Monitoring Mission could verify that all weapons were in situ, in other words, in place and had not been moved away. And that all of those locations comply with the respective withdrawal lines. But at the same time, I'll repeat what I just recently said, is that the Chief Monitor is not yet in the position to issue those certificates of complete withdrawal of heavy weaponry. The feeling is there's still quite a bit of work to be done on both sides. And, he's also takes every opportunity, as does the Deputy Chief Monitor, to remind all sides that in order for us to perform the tasks that we were given in those Minsk packages and by our mandate, is that we need free and unfettered access, and we need safe access. If you read our daily reports, you'll see that we had a very close call in the past 24 hours with in the area near Shirokone with live fire. And also at the end of our daily report, you'll see what remains a fairly substantial list of incidents where we were either substantially delayed or where we're not allowed access whatsoever. And I believe in the last report, there's you'll see there's problems with accessing the part of the border area that's under rebel control. So once again, we're very much, with now 350 monitors in eastern Ukraine, with a very sizable fleet of armored vehicles, with the drones, the unarmed aerial vehicles, with specialists within our monitoring teams. 50% of them are former military. We're in a very good position to perform these tasks. There's no question there. But we do call upon all sides once again to provide us with full, unfettered, and safe access.
More questions. Is it true that there was some information, like OSCE mission was under attack yesterday night in Donetsk region?
Right. Well, what we did to answer that, or to provide the public and, of course, our participating states with more information, we issued a spot report. It is, again, on the website, and it does talk about the 7th of April incident when one of our patrols were traveling near a checkpoint in Shirokine, and we were halted by an improvised so-called DPR roadblock. This was located on the northern edge of Shirokine, and as the patrol approached the checkpoint on foot, a patrol member immediately encountered warning shots of heavy machine gun fire to his right and semi-automatic rifle fire to his left. It goes without saying that this type of behavior is unacceptable. Because remember, under those Minsk packages, all sides did agree to task the SMM with monitoring the ceasefire and the withdrawal of heavy weaponry. So what happened, just briefly, is the patrol proceeded to make contact with the individual I mentioned, who emerged from a nearby trench, and after some discussion and there was a search of our vehicles, the patrol was allowed to proceed further. So again, this is, it speaks to the bravery of our colleagues. I don't want to be too PR-ish about this, but again, when you read our daily reports, there are quite a few incidents over the past weeks where our colleagues have come very, very close to live fire. We are, once again, an unarmed civilian mission. We rely on these armored vehicles, personal body armor, but when incidents like this happen so close to where we're standing or where we're walking, it can be very precarious indeed.
The last question is, can you prove that any military equipment is not coming from Russian side anymore, and no so-called volunteers are not arriving also from Russia to Donetsk and Luhansk regions, or maybe some equipment is leaving according to?
Well, we have over past weeks reported on our observation of unmarked military convoys. And some of them, on rare occasions, they might have the flag of Novorossiya or other flags. We do strive as much as possible to describe what we saw in very great detail, right down to the make of the vehicle. And there have been several occasions where these convoys have been towing heavy weaponry up to multiple launch rocket systems. We have recently reported as well, our monitors had observed vehicle tracks going across the border. But, for the most part, I can tell you that the convoys, unmarked convoys, we have seen, in past months, we would say which direction they're headed to. So in this case, for example, one of the latest cases, rather, we'd say they're going from the east towards Donetsk city. Let me make this clear. If we see something, and if we're able to identify it or the convoys, we will say so at our earliest opportunity, and that is one of the reasons that we issue spot reports, so we don't delay in terms of sharing that type of information.
Якщо більше немає запитань і уточнень, то дуже дякуємо, Майкл. Сподіваємось побачити вас за тиждень після, знову ж таки, сподіваємось, мирних вихідних. Дуже дякую. І наш наступний брифінг о 18:00 сенатор Роб Портман.